Primer have a tendency to get sticky. The primer is two pieces. This piece is a switch and a valve. That's the part that sticks the most. The other part's a big giant electric motor with a little positive displacement gear pump attached to it. The motor rarely fails. The pump very rarely fails. Yes, they've happened. The solenoid that runs them fails fairly commonly, and these guys get sticky. The majority of them are sticky. I will show you sticky. It's hard to pull, number one. And it doesn't close itself. That should be very fluid. It should pull out nicely, and then you shouldn't even have to push it in to close it. It should close on its own with the spring. So a couple things happen. At least in this area, we've got a lot of hard water, so you get hard water deposits inside that valve. It's a valve and a switch built into one, and we'll take it all apart and show the video how it works. So you get hard water deposits on there, and they make it sticky, and it just doesn't want to go. The other part is sometimes things just wear out from lots of use. I mean, the spring feels a little weak, but we'll see. It's probably okay once we get it cleaned up. So that'll be our next project, is pull that thing out. So here we have our primer valve. That guy goes in here. This is the line for water coming in. This goes up to the pump, basically to the impeller, you know, the intake side of the pump is where it should go. This guy is out to, this guy here is out to the primer motor itself. This apparatus is the valve, which lets water flow through here and out here, and this is the electrical piece on the end of it. So to take this guy off, pull that line, pull that line. I believe you can unscrew the T-handle here, pull those two screws, and the whole piece comes out. You can see it's a little bit dirty here. So we'll pull that guy apart and see if we can't fix it. Okay, so this piece unscrews, slides back. This is crimped on, this little piece of brass here, and the whole thing pops off like that. So this piece of plastic line comes into this part here. There's a piece of stainless steel that it rides on. Okay, stainless steel it rides on, and then it recesses in, the plastic recesses into that that fitting, and then this guy comes in here and locks on and just kind of compresses it, compression fitting, so to speak. Okay, one line removed, the other line removed from down here. It's kind of blind. Electrical. Pop that guy up, separate those two pieces. Done. Unscrew the T-handle from the mounting block there, and then unscrew the too big. Through these two guys, the whole thing comes out. There are no, they screw right into the housing. There are no nuts on the back. It should be just a bolt. Screw, machine screw. And that's it. That's the sticky, into the camera angle. That's it. That's the sticky thing that that makes it all happen. It makes prime happen. So your water comes in here. When you pull this guy out, I can't get a hold of it right now probably. as sticky as it was. Okay, when you pull this guy out, yeah, there it goes. Okay, see that opens up there. Water then is able to flow in here, through this guy, and out this guy. At the same time, that rod here makes contact with the switch in the back, and it actuates that switch. And gives power to the solenoid that turns on the electric motor that runs your primer. So honestly, I don't remember how to do this. I haven't done it in so long, but we'll start by taking the back off of this guy. We'll go put it in the vise. Take the back off of that guy. I think once we do that, this guy actually slides out and we can clean him up with some sort of an abrasive, but we'll go set up and do that.
So you gotta put it back in?
Dang it, just hold it there for a second. Okay, water comes in, water goes out. We've already looked at this thing. Down here is the T-handle, or where it would be except it's unscrewed. This is the switch. It goes here. When you pull on it, this switch, this is a spring-loaded ball, it pushes out and it activates the switch. When it comes back in, this guy is pushed in. It's not, you feel that it's not very strong. And once you push it in, it deactivates the switch. That guy is probably fine. We probably don't need to tear him apart. How you get the rest of this out is a good question. I think that, if I remember correctly, it goes, can't remember if you have to take these off or not. Todd, do you remember? That's working. Hex key spins this guy. Okay, so tapping on it with plastic so I don't mar it up too much. That's tapped it back a ways. I have to give it somewhere to go, but there's a spring in there. I don't really want to lose that, so. There's a spring in there. It's pretty dark. Can't really see the inside of the housing, but you can feel in there, you can tell what's smooth. There's actually, looking in there with a little bit of water. What's that? There's some dirt and gunk. I mean, it's the stuff that's running in your tank. Well, looks like a bug in there. Yes, there's a beetle in there. So, that spring's fine. Spring goes like that. When you pull on this guy, he pulls this way. This slides forward far enough for water to be able to travel through this guy, in here, through this guy, and out this guy. And that's your contact. So the key here is to clean all of this up with whatever you can find. Emery cloth is good. Sandpaper will work if that's all you got. Warm water. Clean it up as good as you can. These hard water deposits right here on this edge, that's what's catching. And that's what we need to get knocked off. A wire brush might work too. You don't want to mar up the brass, so be real careful about that. I like emery cloth, but I can feel a pretty significant lip right there. And that's catching inside. So we'll clean up all these pieces and see how it works. What we got? Yeah. It's brass. Brass polishes nicely.
Yeah. So is the O-ring.
So is the O-ring, copy. We should probably lubricate that O-ring.
Probably should.
I don't know if I'd pull it out because we don't have a replacement.
Might.
You're moving too much. I can't keep you on film.
That's the idea.
It's just your hands. There another one of those? Was abrasive pads?
I think that's the only one that was there.
Okay. Okay, so scrubbing. Got this, SOS pad type thing. Brass polishes up pretty nicely. As an example, just to be even, but scrubbed that guy on the inside. Let's shine a light in there. Really? I don't have a flashlight. There it is. Okay. Before scrubbing, it was just plain dark all the way through. Well, we can see it in the camera, but nonetheless, it was, it was a mess. It was dirty. So jam that guy in there, just work him around, and then I try to get him in there even deeper. And then wedge it in with my finger. There's another mating surface in there. It's the second smooth spot. You want to get that cleaned off too. Once you get it in there, of course, it's really hard to get it out. I had to use the pliers to get it in there initially enough to where I could do it with my finger. I didn't want to use the pliers if I didn't have to because I didn't want to ding up the brass anywhere else. Now it's smoothed up a little bit. I can twist it around. So there's the two smooth surfaces on the inside. Those are looking a lot better. A little bit of water before and after helps develop some abrasive. Also, there's an O-ring on this side. This is where the T-handle goes. So there's an O-ring on this side. On the inside, we're not going to replace it because, well, we don't have a rebuild kit. But be aware there is one there and may occasionally have to be fixed or replaced. Okay. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. Nice and shiny compared to what it was. So we'll reinstall this. Let me see. Don't think that's an O-ring. I think that's just dirt, but there's an O-ring back here too. Be aware those could get potentially damaged. That is just buildup of dirt. This is the part that's outside, so it makes sense that it would have some dirt buildup on it. Clean it out with this little tiny screwdriver before I get too far. Okay. That guy is ready. This other guy, he needs rinsed one more time, and then we'll reinstall it. We'll see if it worked. Okay, gave the housing a good rinse. just to get any little particles left out. Done with the that guy. Did we grease up that?
Yes.
Okay. How about a little tiny dab on this guy up front? Just a dab of grease. He's recessed in there so far, I'm not too worried about it, but that way we won't catch him in. Where's our handle? Oh. Should probably rinse him off, honestly, but I'll give him a rinse. Okay. We'll run it until it dies. All right, spring's back on. Got it at least rinsed off, if not scrubbed. That's better than nothing. Okay. Believe it actually goes in a little farther. If I remember correctly, you can use this guy to help you seat it in. Notice how it's pulling it into place. There we go. It's still a little sticky, but it's better than it was. Reinstall the this guy on the back, and we should be in good shape. If you do end up taking, where was I? Okay, this guy. In general, unless for some reason the electrical doesn't seem to be working, you can always test that with a multimeter. Just do a continuity test on it. Remember that when it's pushed, it's off. When it's out, it's a closed circuit. Don't take that apart if you don't have to, because I've seen it taken apart and it was kind of a nightmare. So the little pieces, there's a couple little pieces, there's a spring and a ball in there, and the spring will immediately launch across the room. If you find it, you'll have to keep it under tension and compressed in there, and then get it lined back up with the ball, and then get the cover on it. That's just barely tight, but should be enough. I'll do one at a time, since I have an assistant.
What do you call me?
At this point, if we had a multimeter, we could test it again by actually pulling on the handle, make sure that it's working. But I don't know where one is, and I'm not sure I want to go that far into it. Also, if you pull these fittings here, you can get in there with a piece of cloth to clean better, and you do a better job. So if this job doesn't work as well as we wished it had, we'll still, oh, it's a lot better. It's still a little sticky right at the top, but we'll exercise it a little bit once we get it in there, and it's gonna be better than it was, that's for sure. Okay, reinstallation. Okay, handle's got to come off. It's kind of hard to get the camera in there to really get a good angle on anything, but we'll do the best we can.
Cover on first.
Cover is totally overrated. We all know what it is. But yeah, good point. It goes on the outside. Yeah. tighten these up throughout the year because they wiggle loose. Maybe you can put some thread lock type stuff on there, but make sure you use the stuff that will come off. You need to take that apart every once in a while, as we just saw. Alright, since I'm already here, this washer came out in the beginning. Make sure that goes back over it. We'll go ahead and put our handle back on so we don't lose it. Way better. Way better. All right. On the inside, I'm gonna hook up this line to that fitting, this line to that fitting. Nothing too exciting there. And then we'll test it out, make sure it actually works. Okay, brass fittings. Very easy to cross thread. Cross threading's bad, so slip that guy over the top. The recess is in, that little brass collar is pressed on there. Comes up nice and tight. Okay, at this point you have to get straight on with it. There, and it's screwed on, and it's screwed on by hand. That's the key. You should be able to screw it on a long ways by hand. And then you just snug it down with the wrench. The one on the inside is much more difficult to reach, so you have to get some angles. Okay, don't over tighten. What's over tighten? I don't know. It's a feel thing. It feels like you're too tight. You're too tight. Okay, we'll fire up some power and we'll, test that thing. Okay, power is on. And I didn't hook up the electric on it. That's why it doesn't work. Don't forget to hook up the weatherproof electric connector. Still sticks a little, but rather than me having to bash it, I can just gently push it to turn it off. It's a lot better than it was. It makes me happier than where it was, because it was bad. Yeah, we may need to pull it apart again at some point and try and clean it a little more. But actually, maybe even take the fittings off and try and get in there and really get it clean. But a lot better than it was, and that's the system, or that's the process to do it. It's not very hard. And every single engine in the fleet is bad. For example, untested, just happens to be a random engine. That'll work. That one doesn't go back in by itself at all. It's not too bad. The one we just did is significantly better. That one's in pretty good shape actually, but it's still a little bit sticky. It's about the same as the one we just cleaned. Yeah, cleaner primers.